The chair will now recognize Ms. Hinson from Iowa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Mayor, Chair Mendelson, and CFO Lee. Thank you so much for coming before our committee today to answer our questions and talk about the budget. It goes without saying, but one of my top priorities is safety and security for Iowa families. That applies when they come here to the Capitol as well. And you know, when we're hearing from families who are coming here to the Capitol to visit not only our facilities here, but the national monuments as well, we're talking a lot about, obviously, the inauguration coming up in a couple of weeks. Making sure that they can come here and return home safely is a top priority. And while I appreciate that your testimony today outlined some steps that you are taking to improve public safety, I think that people are still concerned about the level of violent crime here in the city. And while we have seen that decline, last year was the district's deadliest in more than 2 decades. It's down, but it's still unacceptably high, is what I would say. So what is your message to Americans who are coming here, who want to be safe and visit the nation's capital, but still knowing that that crime is very, very high?
Well, what I would say, and thank you, Congresswoman, is Americans are coming to the district every single day. In fact, people from around the world are coming to the district every single day. Last year, we broke records in terms of our visitation. We exceeded the pre-pandemic levels, and we had the highest level of visitation in the District of Columbia. So I know that Americans are enjoying the museums. I know that they are taking advantage of our wonderful hotels, great transportation network, going to our restaurants and seeing our shows. We share, however, you will never hear anybody say more loudly than me that any level of violence in our city is unacceptable. We've worked very hard to rebalance our public safety ecosystem following the pandemic that disrupted it in very fundamental ways. And I think that our focus on accountability and driving down crime and people having illegal access to guns and using guns has been very important. We do, when we come and speak to members of the Congress, and the chairman highlighted it and I highlighted it as well, we could use some help. As you know, we're different. We have federal appointments to our courts, and we have no ability to replace vacancies on the court. And so the Senate right now has 10 very qualified judges that we hope could get some floor time and get passed.
And obviously, we're trying to do our part in the House with expanding federal judges and making sure that the case backlog can be addressed. But I think realistically, you know, enabling rhetoric that was unacceptable and anti-police and soft on crime for several years did lead to an increase in crime in the city. And while I'm glad to hear that you are trying to reverse that trend, and people are coming here, that fear still exists. And when you hear 274 homicides in 2023, people they may have to come here for work and for other things, but they are still certainly afraid. So when you look at arrests that are happening, and you talk about some of these illegal guns that people have, how many of these people are repeat offenders, right? They're being signaled to that they're not going to be held accountable for, whether it's lack of arrests or prosecutions. That's both probably a part of the conversation, but how many people are repeat offenders?
We think that there are a small number of people who are responsible for most crimes. We do think that. We think that people who use guns will tend to use them again. And we look to make sure the ecosystem is working. And that's why we're fully funding our police department. We're looking at our policies to make sure that if they need to be recalibrated, they are being recalibrated. You've heard the chairman ask you to make sure that our United States Attorney's Office has not only the number of people that they need, but highly skilled attorneys that can work in an urban environment. And it is important. We cannot discount the need for swift trials and having the judges that we need help get us there.
Yeah, well, and I certainly think when you think about the message that it sends to police and recruiting police and getting more people into the force, and thanks to the chief for being here today, we want to make sure that those who are arrested are actually prosecuted, because it's tough to be a cop out on the street, putting your life on the line every single day, and then realizing that these people are walking anyway. So I think that's a huge fear.
I couldn't agree with you more on that point.
Okay.
If I could just add.
Yes,
So
Mr. Chair.
we are different than any other jurisdiction in that all of our felonies are prosecuted by the United States Attorney. And as of about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, the U.S. Attorney was declining to prosecute over 2/3 of the arrests that were presented to him. That's a significant problem, and that's why I spoke to more resources for the U.S. Attorney's Office. Our courts are backlogged because of the vacancies. That was an article in today's Post about that. That also impacts public safety in the district. Last year, we had about 280 homicides. This year, as of today, we have 182. We will be below 200 this year, so violent crime is coming down. Unfortunately, a challenge with crime is that when their word is that an area is unsafe, it takes a long time to overcome that, even if the statistics show that crime is down significantly.
Well, I certainly think maybe a separate conversation with the district attorney about how they're pursuing these cases as well is worth having as a committee. And Mr. Chair, without objection, I'd like to admit for the record this article from the Washington Post, if I may. Okay, thank you. I yield back. Thank you.